So at this part of the show right now, I'm going to be more than happy to introduce our special guest, and this is Dr. Michael Wald. And are you on the line there, Mr. Wald?
I am. How you doing, Alex?
Hey, how you doing, Dr. Wald? Great to have you on the call. First of all, everyone, I'd like to a little background about Dr. Wald, and he's a really amazing person. Dr. Wald, he's the blood detective. That's what he's known as, the blood detective. He's the director of Nutritional Services at Integrated Medical in Mount Kisco, New York, located in Westchester, New York. He has appeared on ABC World News Tonight with Diane Shayer, also on Channel 11, PIX, Channel 12, CNN, and the Food Network, and other media outlets. So he's been all these different media outlets, and I guess people are interested in this whole thing with the blood detective. Also, Dr. Wald has earned the name blood detective because of his reputation to find out problems that are often missed by other doctors. So again, that's really important. He has, by the way, a little bit about his degrees. He has earned his MD. And he's a doctor of chiropractic and a certified dietitian nutritionist, and he's also a double board certified in nutrition. He's double board certified in nutrition, so that's pretty amazing. He's written lots of books. His latest book is Frankenfoods. So again, what Frankenfoods are is genetically modified foods. And, that's a big controversy now, and there's a lot of out there in reference to modified foods. So there's controversy, there's a lot of lies out there, and also your health can be impacted and how people can think about GMO and literally how this GMO can really make damage to the planet. So again, there's a lot of great things. He'll probably talk a little bit about that today in reference to GMOs. Also, his future titles and books that are coming up next year would be Glutenaholic. And again, we're talking about gluten and how that's going to, and also how to live gluten-free and the blood detective's longevity secrets. So again, as you can see here, everyone, he does have a lot on his plate. He's been doing this for years. I know of Dr. Wald for many years. So again, Dr. Wald, great to have you on the show with my audience today.
It's really my pleasure.
Great to have you, Dr. Wald. And again, there's a lot here. Talking about, you said here towards the end about longevity secrets. What do you mean by longevity secrets?
Well, Alex, there are simple ways in which, and some more complex ways that many people do not know that if they did, it would enhance not only the quality of their lives, but they could delay the onset of the more common chronic diseases that tend to plague people, such as heart disease, diabetes, immune problems, arthritis, memory issues. And through certain dietary methods and certain nutritional supplements and certain specific types of exercises performed on a routine basis over the course of one's life could enhance general well-being and reduce early death risk, and very importantly, improve the length of life that someone lives within that's the most active. And that's what I'm interested in, and that's what people who seek me out are interested in. Living longer, sure, but living much better without as much disease and disability. So the book title you mentioned, The Blood Detective's Longevity Secrets, are my top picks of what people should focus on, what laboratory or other tests they need to do to determine what they need to do as individuals to offset their disease risk and improve their quality and length of life. Because it's, Alex, it's different for everyone. So this cookie cutter, everyone should eat a certain way, and this is a healthy diet, or this is a nutritional supplement that's good for everyone, that is not specific enough. That's not personalized enough. And I'm interested in knowing through laboratory tests if we're actually improving a person's biochemistry and health, which may be a little bit different than what a person is aware of. A person might feel well, but they may not actually be well. So these various tests help figure that out. They give me and give my patients insight into what actually is happening under the surface, so they can take daily steps in some of the ways that I've just mentioned, so they can truly be healthy and not merely just practice the type of so-called health care today where if people don't have a symptom that stops them in their tracks, they assume that they're healthy. So in a nutshell, Alex, longevity secrets are those simple ways that that a person can learn to improve their quality and their length of life.
Talking about this, and we're talking about longevity and living longer, and one of your titles here is GMOs. What is happening now to our biochemistry? I think a lot of people would be interested we're probably exposed to 80% or probably higher of all these fruits and vegetables and God knows, food that we're actually eating. So how is that going to affect us?
Sure. Well, you mentioned again my book title, Frankenfoods, which the complete title is Controversies, Lies, in Your Health. And what I've done in this very short but concise book is outlined in a question and answer format for people. What are GMOs? What are the problems? How to avoid them? What does the evidence actually say? Because, as you know, Alex, there's lots of information flying around out there. So I wanted to produce a very evidence-based and scientific review of things, but in plain and simple language that wasn't 150 pages long, because who has time for that? So any of the listeners can go to my blog and read the many dozen entries on different GMO concepts. And also they could go to Amazon and look up the Frankenfoods book and also read sample chapters on my website as well. But to answer your question, there is evidence that GMOs are not safe, and that is a problem. They have been released into the food chain in one big experiment, in my opinion. And the reason why I think there are those out there that are pro-GMO that seem not to have a problem with GMO, and they claim something like this. This is what I hear a lot, Alex. They will say, well, if GMOs were a problem, people would be dropping like flies. That's almost a direct paraphrase of a geneticist who is a pro-GMO geneticist. And I would say people are dropping like flies. We have higher risks of disability and various disease than ever before. And one simply cannot rule out the contribution of GMOs. So until they are proven safe, I don't think they ever should have been released. And my book outlines much of the scientific evidence that's out there, which pro-GMO people seem to say doesn't exist, but it's in the book. So that's an important aspect of longevity because, of course, our health is largely dependent upon what we're eating, what we're absorbing from what we eat, our exposure to various toxins in the environment, whether they're infectious toxins or heavy metal toxins or other types of chemicals, or toxins produced in genetically modified foods or that are produced from genetically modified foods as our body tries to manage them. And then there are other factors, too. There's gluten, et cetera, et cetera. So some of the listeners are probably thinking, my goodness, what can I do? It seems like everywhere I turn, everything is bad for me. Well, the truth is there are some simple answers. Once you have the information, it's very simple to make healthy choices, and it still is possible to make those healthy choices. In my Frankenfoods book, Alex, I actually give lots of recipes, lots of diets. Many of them are also on my blog as well. So part of a longevity plan, we want to bring these longevity secrets, like the secrets that GMOs may be dangerous. Let's at least cut them way down in our diet, if not remove them completely. Gluten may not be appropriate for most people. Many of us are walking around with low blood levels of vitamin D, which increases our risk of dying of pretty much everything, and that's not an exaggeration. And the list goes on and on. But if we can reveal and be aware of these factors in our lives, we can, as intelligent and educated people, make informed choices and decide how far we'll go to increase our longevity. And by doing some laboratory work and doing what I call a blood detective analysis, reading blood work nutritionally, and that's not something that traditionally trained doctors can do very well. But that's the only way that we're going to know if we've made a long-term difference, by looking at certain tests and making sure that our lifestyle changes, which include diet as one of those lifestyle changes, are making these bad abnormal findings in the lab go away. It's not enough, Alex, for people to quote-unquote eat right or to take healthy nutritional supplements. It has to translate into actual results under the surface in the chemistry.
I'm pretty aware of this, Dr. Wald. I've known of you for years. I've gone to you, and I've seen it for myself. My wife, and again, I'll bring this up. My wife had 5 years ago, as you know, 5 or 6 years ago, she had a very, a whole bout of MS. And it took about a year to diagnose it. It was a weird thing, and she just kept getting worse and worse. And then we finally went to you guys because, I've known you for years, and I totally believe in that. By the way, everyone, a lot of the ways that Dr. Wald does it is he does blood tests and he looks at your on the cellular level, right, Dr. Wald?
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just looking at the labs, but it's looking at laboratory from all areas or practically every area of medicine at one time. So hormones, that's the area of endocrinology, toxicology, immunology, neurology, gastroenterology, nutrition. Medicine today is artificially compartmentalized, and we have our specialists, which certainly have their place, but the limitation there is that unless you look at all areas, you cannot appreciate the body holistically as a whole and see these dynamic connections to really know if you're managing a person's needs. So, for example, if someone has a known increased risk of heart disease with, let's say, high cholesterol, they would know that from their family practitioner, the internist, or perhaps their cardiologist. But an endocrinologist could tell you if one's testosterone levels were low, and low testosterone tends to be associated with high cholesterol, and taking testosterone or changing one's diet or taking supplements to naturally increase one's testosterone can lower cholesterol. But that again, most people with cardiovascular issues like high cholesterol are not referred to an endocrinologist, and even if they were, to get the endocrinologist to talk to the cardiologist is not that likely. And to work on the nutritional aspects of things, well, they'd have to refer you yet to a dietitian. And the connections go on and on. What if someone does not absorb normally? And the symptom of that might be not absorbing, let's say, healthy fats, and their cholesterol levels go up. But the malabsorption issue, well, that's in the realm of gastroenterology. So the way that medicine's set up today just takes too darn long. The solutions ultimately are medications. There's no real fixing of things. And I'm not saying there isn't a place for medication, but I think it should be a last resort, not a first one. So my approach is simply holistic because that's how the body's designed. And I think if we approach the body from a natural therapeutic perspective, consistent with how the body actually works, we tend to get better results, far safer results. And then we take all these results, Alex, and we put it through a software program that I designed called Blood Detective that compares all of the patient's results to a healthier version of themselves. For example, as a person grows older, the ranges on blood work that are called the normal ranges or the clinical ranges, those are based on average, let's say, men or women, the age of your listeners. But as a person gets older, the ranges change, and a person has a new normal that 10 years ago would have been abnormal. So many people don't feel well and have health issues, but their doctors say, but your blood tests are normal. They are forgetting that these ranges are not based on healthy people, Alex. They're based on average people, and the average person is not so healthy. So we have a higher standard. Just like one might imagine that an Olympian might have different chemistry that allows him or her to do certain things that the average person their age who's not an Olympian cannot do. My point being, if we improve our chemistry, we improve our performance, whether that's mobility, strength, mental function, reaction time. It's what I call longevity healthcare. It's true healthcare. It's health building. And it takes a little extra work and a little more proactivity on the part of the person, which I love. I have the smartest patients on the planet. They come in, they give me articles, they send me emails. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? It's a dynamic relationship that just is not built into regular medicine. So I like to practice what I like to call health care or longevity care, and traditional medicine is, let's face it, it's not a criticism, but it's disease care. Traditional physicians are not trained in health. They're trained in treating end-stage disease, and we need it, but that's a very small part of the healthcare system. Most conditions today are preventable or at least delayable with appropriate lifestyle. I'm simply saying, and again, that lifestyle is diet, exercise, stress reduction, foods, supplements, but if we base it on each person, we don't waste time taking a zillion nutrients that make no difference or eating a healthy diet with quotations when a person, an individual, may not know what a healthy diet is. So a healthy diet is what a person needs at different stages in their lives, and the laboratory I use as a guide to figure that out.
Well, wow, it's very detailed. And again, everyone, this is, again, the PRN, which is literally progressive people. And this is, I guess, state-of-the-art, what the future should be like. And again, this is why we're on this great station, PRN, so we can know better. Again, we're aware of the toxins, we're aware of the pollution, we're aware of all this, electromagnetic pollution and chemtrails and now GMOs. Let's add that to the bag of everything that's going on to us. So definitely, this is a way. You can go to blooddetective.com and you can see Dr. Wald, and you can see his articles, and if you want to, be in contact with him. But right now, if you guys want to, you can send me an email, questions. If you have questions for you in reference to Dr. Wald, you can send them to the ndcsavingsclub.com and go to the radio tab on top of the website and submit your questions if you want to. Or, like I mentioned before, you can call 888-874-4888. And again, that number is toll-free, 888-874-4888, to maybe ask Dr. Waltz some questions you might have in reference to this whole concept of blood detective and looking at your body in a totally different way. I guess I wanted to ask now, Dr. Waltz, is these are not like you mentioned before. These are not like standard blood tests. These are more complex or more detailed in reference to that person's chemistry.
Yeah, it's a combination. For example, most people will go to their primary docs and get a routine blood test, which would consist of a complete blood count and, let's say, chemistry. Maybe there'll be a thyroid test thrown in there. It depends on a person's symptoms, but essentially that's it. And those tests can be nutritionally interpreted compared to average people of the age of the person getting the test, but also a healthier version of that person. And then when you change the comparison, there's all these other hidden problems that may show up that are not necessarily problems now, but are predicted to be problems later. So to answer your question, Alex, some of the tests most of them are quite routine. All of the most important tests, which I call biomarkers, are covered by insurance. They can be done by any doctor willing to order the test, but most will not because they'll only order partial tests within their specialty, and they probably should do that because if they're not holistically minded, if they're not focused in this area, such as I am, they wouldn't really know how to interpret them, let alone interpret tests from multiple specialties. That's just not how the medical education works. So these tests can be ordered by any physician trained in longevity medicine who knows how to read them.
And like you were just mentioning, so I know these blood tests and all are expensive, but you're saying that in reference to regular health insurance, they do cover these tests as long as they're prescribed.
Yes, and real quickly, Alex, I could name maybe 6 or 7 of them so people can sort of write them down. These I would include with every patient's workup, but I perform approximately 150 to 170 different biomarkers. Now, real quickly, a biomarker is a test that lets us know if whatever we're recommending now for a person, again, whether it's diet, exercise, or what have you, is affecting it in a positive way. Like cholesterol is a biomarker. Is it going down? Vitamin D is a biomarker. Is it going up? And the other ones are a standard CBC and a chemistry, as I mentioned, something called C-reactive protein, CRP, or another test is homocysteine, Another one, hemoglobin A1C. A thyroid panel is always important. It must be a complete thyroid panel with a TSH, a free T3, a free T4, thyroid antibodies, and total T3 and total T4. So those are a few examples. And again, on the website, I have a long list of others. There's a baseline of tests I do with every patient's longevity, but then it gets much more personalized, Alex, based upon the answers that are provided to me based on a very detailed health appraisal questionnaire. And, of course, my conversation with people and getting through those questions and really clarifying their current health issues and health goals. One's health goals determine how you test and what you test for, and also how you treat things and how quickly someone wants to accomplish something. So all these factors and others go into choosing the right tests. And generalized insurance, if someone has insurance, it almost always will cover most of these tests that I've mentioned. There may be other ones, and there are biomarkers that are not blood tests, like a body composition, really, really important, lung function testing, bone density testing. They may or may not be covered by insurance. It depends on the individual. But enough of these tests are covered that quite a lot of hidden secrets are revealed that a person can then act proactively improving their quality of life and helping to invest in their future health in terms of prevention. It's a lot easier to prevent something than to treat it once it's an outright disease. We can find a lot of things, Alex, in the dis-ease area, which is in between health and disease.
Yeah. Well, I've known myself. I gone, like a lot of us do. We have an insurance and we have a complete physical, and I can't imagine that these doctors, they have no clue what they're looking at, and they just look at the basic, your cholesterol. You're looking at your basic levels, and that might be anywhere from 10 to 15 tests or something, if that. On blood work, and then you're talking about a lot more tests than even if they did prescribe it. From my point of view, I don't think they know what they're looking at anyhow.
Well, you make a good point, and to use cholesterol and the blood lipids, which are the blood fats. The other biomarker I do is called a VAP test, a VAP test. That measures cholesterol and triglycerides and HDL and LDL, like everyone's familiar with, but it measures about 10 other lipids that also very strongly are associated with cardiovascular disease and the number one cause of death of men and women, heart attacks. And we have to keep in mind that 60% of people who get a cardiovascular event, like a heart attack or stroke, Alex, they have normal cholesterol, triglycerides, HDL, and the ratio, but they don't necessarily have normal values of all of the other lipids that are not normally checked by doctors that are part of the VAP panel. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's just that the protocols from a lot of HMOs and PPOs, they actually have rules against ordering these tests. I'm not part of the HMOs and PPOs. I can order any test that I want, and insurance will still cover it. So I can do these tests that will reveal hidden issues. And many people are just told, oh, yeah, your blood lipids are fine. But for 60% of people with heart conditions, the first 4 might be fine, but 6 or 7 hidden that are not tested are not. Clearly, if we want new answers and we want to find hidden issues and we want to promote health and not just identify disease once it's there and manage it symptomatically, we have to do more detailed work. We have to be more proactive. And, to paraphrase Einstein, he said, if we want new answers, we need to ask a whole new set of questions. More answers, more questions, more answers, and you act on them, and then you prove over time that the juicing that you're doing and the supplements you're taking, the exercise you're working, is modifying these biomarkers. That's the bottom line.
Well, this is really amazing. Everyone, again, we're in a progressive station, progressive people, and that's what we want to hear. We want to hear what the future is. Let's not worry about where everyone's at in the past. We're in the future now, and this is what, I guess the bottom line is to, it's for your life, your health. I mean, you can always work, you can always make money, but once you lose your health, you lose everything. and even more important, you might lose your life. So it doesn't matter what you have done with your life, and you save money, and you did all the best, but if you lose your life, you have nothing left. So your health is the most important thing, and this is one of the ways that you'll be able to, look into, this type of a program through Dr. Wald and to the blood detective. By the way, I did get an email here, and if somebody, people want to call in, they can call in, maybe ask Dr. Wald a question live on the radio. And again, the number is 888, toll free, again, 888-874-4888. I'll read this email to you, Dr. Wald, that I got.
Sure thing.
I got here an email from Jim from New York City. He says, why are regular doctors not doing this type of medicine?
Well, let me answer that question quick in a small amount of time that we have left.
Yes.
First of all, it's unrealistic to expect traditionally trained doctors to do this because this is a whole different field. This is healthcare, not disease care. Many of my patients spend large amounts of time explaining their frustrations to me until I point out, well, why would you think that doctors should do nutrition and think holistically when they're not trained that way? So it's sort of unfair, quite honestly, for us to impose that upon them. Of course, we want them to know those things, but that's not the training. We wouldn't expect our dentist to give us a gynecological exam. It's that ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And because people do challenge the traditionally trained doctors, and some of them, and not all, but some are quite defensive when they are faced with not knowing an area. So what is the normal reaction in defensiveness? There's no evidence, there's no proof, and that's quite silly. I work in integrated medicine of Mount Kisco, as you said. That integrated means we do not throw out the baby with the bathwater. In other words, there is good in medicine, and we can use medicine and science to figure out nutrition for a person. So a combination simply offers more choices for people. And it's really about choices. It's not just what I believe in. Sure, my bias is natural medicine. I admit that. I would rather use natural means to help manage someone's health and prevent disease and improve quality and length of life. And sometimes medicines or procedures in medicines are important. Except when we take a holistic perspective, we can reduce the side effects of these meds, the needed doses, they can work better for longer. Mm-hmm. So that depends on the person's wants and needs, and then we design programs on that. So my answer to our call from New York's question is that's just not their specialty. They just don't.
Yeah, that makes... at this point, Engineer, do we have anyone on the call that might want to ask a question, Dr. Wald?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Again, anyone on the call that might want to ask a question, Dr. Wald? I guess we don't, Dr. Wald. I guess people are still absorbing all this information in reference to this whole new paradigm, which I believe that's what you're trying to develop. And it's pretty amazing that you also have, I guess, like a program for like a software or whatever that's able to help people with that as well.
Well, technology, if used right, can simply do more than a doctor using his or her eyeballs to look at a few sheets of paper. Mm-hmm. So there's just too much data. And I'm shocked, Alex, sometimes as I teach seminars across the country and abroad, when I ask the audience who here uses technologies, who here does medical searches. I'm talking to doctors, nutritionists. Some actually say, no, I can type on a computer, but I don't do medical searches or I don't use these programs. It astounds me. You simply cannot do as well. Many, many studies have shown this, and on my blood detective website I have a scientific paper that quotes various medical journal articles that clearly show that when technologies are properly, interpretive technologies like my blood detective program are employed, there are far fewer errors made in recommendations, fewer deaths in hospitals. Technology, when used correctly and when applied appropriately for each person, enhances health care.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it does.
So getting all this together in reference to the technology, to the blood work, and looking at the panels and looking at you, I mean, I'm just curious to see when you might get people that are pretty sick already coming to you.
Oh, absolutely.
And they already gone through the whole gauntlet of the medical establishment, and it probably made their symptoms and the conditions worse. And now they're coming to you, and they're all toxic and all. And now that they want answers, and now you'll be able to, give them. And again, it's not you just looking at them; you're actually able to look at them on the cellular level.
Right, and it's important to realize that medicine certainly has its place.
Yes,
and nutritional holistic medicine has its place. I do see people most commonly who we are a last resort. They've been everywhere and every place. The fact that they've done that, we can actually help people, is amazing. Sometimes a different, fresh perspective is simply what's needed. So it's important to really clarify, again, what a person's health goals are, what they've done. Because many people say, well, I tried the diet thing and I tried the supplement thing and it didn't work. You have to keep in mind, unless those recommendations were based on one's biochemical uniqueness, it is a guess. And it wouldn't surprise me at all. And I see many people who take bag loads of nutrients and eat in ways you would think they could live to 200, but they have cancers and diseases and chronic issues and brain fog and fatigue and all kinds of issues because what they did was not based on their actual needs. It was based on what they think is healthy. And where did that information come from? It came from the media. And even the best information, best sounding information, could be off given the health status or lack of health of a person at a particular time. So it's very, very important to distinguish what a person needs. It's all about biochemical uniqueness. That's all I'm about. Mm-hmm. Alex, when I was 18, as you know, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Mm-hmm. I'm 48 years old now. I run marathons. I run them fast. I do martial arts. I lift weights. I'm in the best shape of my life. I have no limitations. I've never been on a medication. My father was a nutrition person, a chiropractor. That's what I did. He gave me nutrition. He changed my diet. I did what he said, and I am one of the healthiest individuals I would know of any age. My biochemistry, and for example, my cardiovascular biologic age, which is calculated based on one of the biomarker tests that I do, and this is an FDA-approved technology, a real technology, shows that my cardiovascular age is that of a healthy 18-year-old. There is chronologic age, how old we are in years, and then there is biological age, how old our chemistry is and the functionality of the body. And that's the power of what nutrition can do. I'm not claiming that what I did for myself is possible for everyone, but it certainly is possible.
Well, and that's so it's needed. It's like the 4-minute mile. No one thought that physically you were able to run a 4-minute mile.
Right. Well, I certainly didn't.
Yeah.
But I could do a 5.5.
Yeah. But I mean, people, that's just the way it is. People think certain things. I mean, like you said, the biological, chronological age, people are like double or 3 times their biological age, aren't they?
Yes. And, you mentioned something very, very important. One's perspective at one point in history was that, a human being could not run a 4-minute mile, for example. Mm-hmm. If we limit the possibilities in our minds, then we don't seek out things like alternative medicine or natural and nutritional medicine. We accept what good people like certain physicians that are well-intentioned and intelligent people say, but they, as human beings, superimpose their limitations and their belief systems on their patients. So if they say to a patient, well, listen, your diet can affect you, and that's quackery, and nutrients are useless, and there's no evidence, first of all, that's all untrue. And once again, my website, you can just go into the blog and find evidence, in all these areas, and all this information will pop up. I have over 60 or so videos on the website and YouTube. They're 3 to 4 minutes long, which review and answer lots of these questions. So the point is that one cannot take advantage of what's available to improve health if they don't first consider that it's possible that their level of health now can get better. Mm-hmm. So it has to start with perspective.
Well, I'm 100% into this because, as you know, like I mentioned before, I started with my wife having a very bad attack of MS and all, and you definitely helped her, like literally to amazing to recovery, and she she's really now has recovered from that, and it's been like 4 years already. So it is long-term sustained health.
Right.
So,
would you mind would it be okay if I mention something about that?
Yes.
You'll recall that your wife had quite a limp. She had a gait issue, difficulty walking. And I work with a renowned neurologist. And after a while working with your wife, and we combined different natural therapies, she no longer had that issue. But I remember her saying, sometimes if I have a very long, stressful day, I have a slight limp. And I asked my neurologist friend and partner, I said, so in traditional neurology, in the approaches that you use with the standard of care, the medications, how often do you see that disability reversed? And he looked at me and says, well, you don't. The medications for MS may, at best, stabilize someone. They are not designed, thought to, or proven to reverse any level of disability, yet we did it with a combination of natural medicine. So, there you go. The combination of things simply offers more opportunity for health.
Well, everyone, like you have heard, we got caught up on the show. Dr. Wald, thank you a billion there for helping everyone, and I really appreciate your time.
Thanks so much, Alex.
All right, thank you. Speak to you soon. Okay, everyone, we're coming down to the close of the show. Again, let's go to the NDCSavingsClub.com and go to the website. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes. Like us on Facebook, and also please tell your friends and family and neighbors about this great show. As you can hear, that was very riveting. Time just went by so fast, but Dr. Wald is just full of so much knowledge and helping people, which I personally have witnessed that. So again, everyone, I'll be back again next week with another special guest, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And again, come on and come to this great station, PRN. Go to the archives and see our shows. So again, don't forget about us. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night.
If we just let it be. Na, 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 na.